Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today by setting the mood a little bit. I want you to picture the most intense, complicated, and perhaps slightly dysfunctional relationship in your life.
Oh, we are getting personal right out of the gate today.
We are, but I'm not talking about your spouse or your mother or that ex who keeps texting you at 2 a.m.
Okay.
I'm talking about something much closer to home. Literally, I'm talking about the relationship you have with that glowing rectangle in your pocket.
The smartphone. The one we sleep with.
The one we sleep with, the one we wake up with, the one we touch, and this is a real statistic, over 2,000 times a day.
2,000. That's staggering when you actually hear it out loud.
It is. So today, we aren't doing a tech review. We aren't talking about camera specs or processor speeds. We are doing relationship counseling.
Which is honestly the most accurate way to frame this. If you described your relationship with your phone to a therapist,
Yeah.
I can't stop looking at it, I panic when it's not near me, I ignore my friends to be with it, they would tell you to run.
They would tell you it's toxic. And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We are doing a deep dive into How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price.
A fantastic book.
It is. And I have to say, when I picked up this book, I thought, okay, sure, another book telling me to go live in the woods. But the first few pages hit me like a ton of bricks.
It was the open letter, wasn't it?
It was the open letter. Price starts the book with this letter written to her phone. And I want to read a few excerpts because it felt like she had, I don't know, broken into my house and read my diary.
So relatable.
So relatable. She starts by remembering the honeymoon phase. Do you remember that when you first got a smartphone?
Vividly. It felt like magic. I remember standing on a street corner and realizing I could look up the history of the building I was standing in, check the weather in Tokyo, and email my boss all at the same time.
Right.
You felt like I'd been given a superpower.
Exactly. It was seductive. Price writes, I still remember the first time we met. I'll admit that your touchscreen caught my eye. It was sleek. It was beautiful. But then she describes the shift.
The slow creep.
The slow creep. She says, it wasn't long before we were doing everything together, taking walks, having lunch with friends, going on vacations.
That's where the boundaries start to dissolve,
Right. And then she delivers this line, at first it seemed strange that you wanted to come with me to the bathroom.
Oh boy.
But today it's just another formerly private moment for us to share.
That is uncomfortably relatable. I think everyone listening just shifted in their seat a little bit.
100%. But then it gets kind of sad. She writes, I love you, but you're ruining my life.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about this feeling of being busy but ineffective, connected but lonely. She says, I want to be with you, but I also want to be free of you.
That's the core conflict, isn't it?
It's this profound realization that the relationship is dysfunctional. We are the ones holding the device, but it feels like the device is the one holding the leash.
And that is really the mission of this deep dive. We need to be very clear about what this is and what it isn't.
Okay.
We aren't here to bash technology. Catherine Price isn't a Luddite. She's a science journalist. She knows these tools are incredible.
Right. Nobody is suggesting we go back to carrier pigeons or smoke signals.
Exactly. The goal isn't to dump the phone in a river.
Mm.
The goal is to understand why the relationship went sour. Why are these devices so addictive?
The science.
The actual science behind the compulsion. And then we're going to walk through her specific, science-backed 30-day plan to take back control.
It's about agency.
It's about agency, moving from a relationship of dependence to one of autonomy, of control.
But before we get into the brain chemistry, which, by the way, is terrifying, I want to push back a little.
Go for it.
Because I think a lot of people listening, and maybe even myself included, are thinking, okay, I use my phone a lot, but I don't have a problem, I can stop whenever I want. I just have a lot of emails.
I can stop whenever I want is the classic catchphrase of addiction, isn't it?
Fair point. Okay, fair point.
But let's be objective. Price brings up the smartphone compulsion test. It was developed by Dr. David Greenfield, who founded the Center for Internet and Technology Addiction.
Which is a real place. I looked it up.
It is a very real place.
Yeah.
So let's run through a few of these questions. I want you to answer them honestly, and I want you, the listener, to answer them honestly too. Ready?
Hit me. I'm ready to be judged.
Okay. Question 1. Do you find yourself spending more time on your mobile or smartphone than you realize?
I mean,
Yes.
immediately, yes. I go to check the time, and 20 minutes later, I'm watching a video of a guy restoring a rusty knife. So guilty.
Okay. Question 2. Do you find yourself mindlessly passing time by staring at your cell phone?
Define mindlessly.
It means you aren't looking for anything specific. You're just scrolling. You're pacifying yourself. You're filling a void.
Then yes. Double guilty. It's the first thing I do when I'm in a line or waiting for the coffee to brew.
Right. Question 3. Do you feel ill at ease or uncomfortable when you accidentally leave your smartphone in the car or at home, or you have no service, or it is broken?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the phantom limb sensation.
Yeah.
If I pat my pocket and it's not there, I get a literal spike of adrenaline. It feels like I've lost my wallet or my keys, but worse because my keys don't connect me to the entire world.
Okay, last one for now. Do you find yourself using your cell phone to lift your mood? Like you're feeling a little down or bored or anxious, so you reach for the screen?
Yeah, it's a pacifier. It's a digital pacifier, 100%.
So here is the kicker. Dr. Greenfield says that if you score a 5 or above on his full quiz, you likely have a problematic or compulsive smartphone use pattern.
And if I scored, say, an 8 or a 9, asking for a friend.
Then he suggests you might consider seeing a psychologist.
Yeah.
But here is the reality check that Price points out, and this is crucial. Scoring below a 5 on this test is essentially impossible if you own a smartphone.
Wait, say that again?
If you have the device, you have the compulsion. It's not a bug, it's a feature. The system is designed for you to fail that test.
That's a bold statement. You're saying the addiction is baked into the contract of owning the phone.
I am. And because everyone has one, we have normalized behavior that, in any other context, would look insane.
How so?
Price brings up this incredibly provocative thought experiment from a 60-minute segment. I want you to visualize this.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Imagine you are walking through a park on a beautiful Saturday.
Yeah.
Or you're sitting in a nice restaurant. Look around you. What do you see?
I see people, but they aren't looking at each other. They're looking down.
Right. Heads bowed, necks craning, blue light reflecting on their faces. Half the people are completely zoned out, staring at their hands. Now imagine that instead of holding a shiny piece of glass, all those people were holding a syringe. Imagine they were shooting up drugs intravenously, right there in the park, right there at the dinner table with their families.
That is a visceral image.
We would call it a massive public health crisis. We would say society is collapsing. We'd be calling the National Guard. But because it's a screen, because it's checking email or Instagram, we consider it normal.
We call it being connected.
We call it being connected. But the neurological mechanism, the dopamine pathway being activated, is shockingly similar to substance abuse.
That's heavy. But I have to play devil's advocate here because I can hear the skeptics in the audience.
Please do.
Comparing Instagram to heroin feels like a stretch. And honestly, isn't this just a lack of willpower? I mean, I'm an adult, I pay my taxes. If I can't stop looking at TikTok, isn't that just me being lazy or undisciplined? Why are we blaming the phone?
That is the most common reaction.
Yeah.
That's the one I had at first. We prize self-control. We think, I am the master of my domain.
Right.
But Price argues, and the science backs her up, that this is an unfair fight. It is not a lack of willpower. It is a masterpiece of engineering.
Engineering.
Let me put it this way. If you sat down at a chessboard and you were playing against a supercomputer that could calculate 1 billion moves per second and you lost, would you say you were just lazy?
No, I'd say I was outmatched, completely outmatched.
You are outmatched here. You are one person with one brain that evolved to survive on the savannah, fighting against thousands of the smartest engineers, statisticians, and behavioral psychologists at Google, Meta, and Apple.
Thousands.
Their entire job, the thing they get massive bonuses for, is to figure out how to break your willpower. They are designing these devices to be persuasive.
Persuasive is a very polite way of putting it. It sounds more like manipulation.
It is behavior modification. And if you want proof that this is dangerous, you just have to look at the people who built it. This is the Silicon Valley secret that Price uncovers.
Oh, I love a good secret.
Take Steve Jobs, the man who introduced the iPad to the world. He went on stage and told us it was a magical device that would change education, change reading, change everything.
I remember that keynote.
But when a reporter asked him if his kids loved the iPad,
What did he say?
he said they haven't used it. We limit how much technology our kids use at home.
That is telling. That's more than telling. That's a giant red flag.
The same with Bill Gates. He didn't let his kids have phones until they were 14. Tony Fadell, one of the creators of the iPod, has spoken out about this.
So it's a pattern.
It is the classic drug dealer's adage, never get high on your own supply. The tech executives know exactly how addictive these products are because they designed them to be that way. They are protecting their families while selling the addiction to us.
Okay, so let's get into the how. How are they doing it? Because I look at my phone and it just looks like a slab of glass. It doesn't look like a hypodermic needle. What is the mechanism that hacks the brain?
It all comes down to one molecule.
Let me guess. Dopamine.
Dopamine.
The pleasure chemical. We hear about this all the time.
We do, but we usually get it wrong. We tend to think of dopamine as the chemical of pleasure, the feeling you get after you eat a delicious meal or have sex or win a prize. But scientifically, that's not quite right.
Okay, so correct me.
Dopamine isn't about the reward itself. It's about the anticipation of the reward.
Wait, hold on. Anticipation. Because when I get a like on Instagram, it feels pretty good. That feels like pleasure to me.
It feels like relief.
Yeah.
But the chemical kick happened before the notification loaded. Think about our ancestors. If you're a hunter-gatherer, dopamine is the chemical that says, hey, see that berry bush over there? Go check it. It might have food.
It's the motivation.
It's the motivation chemical. If you check it and find berries, you get a hit of opioids, actual pleasure. But the dopamine is the fuel that got you off the rock and over to the bush.
It's the gas in the tank. It's the seeking system.
Exactly. It drives us to seek. Now here is where the engineering gets dark. The most effective way to keep that dopamine pumping isn't to give you a reward every single time.
Why not? That seems counterintuitive.
If you pressed a button and got $1 every single time, eventually you'd get bored. You'd know it was coming. The dopamine would flatten out.
So consistency kills the high.
Yes. The most addictive pattern is something called intermittent reinforcement.
The slot machine.
The slot machine. This is the core analogy Price uses, and it is perfect. When you pull the lever on a slot machine, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Maybe you get nothing. Maybe you get a small payout. Maybe, just maybe, you hit the jackpot. That unpredictability drives the compulsion. It's called reward prediction error. If you might find berries, your dopamine spikes through the roof.
And our phones are just slot machines we keep in our pockets.
Think about the pull to refresh mechanism on social media. You drag your finger down, that's pulling the lever, the little reel spins, and then what do you get?
I don't know, maybe a boring email from HR. Maybe a catastrophic news update. Or maybe a text from a crush. Or a like on my photo. Or a viral video that makes me laugh.
Exactly. It's the maybe that hooks you. You never know. And that uncertainty keeps you pulling the lever over and over and over again, searching for the hit.
I've never thought about pull to refresh as a literal slot machine lever, but the motion is exactly the same. And Price mentions another design trick, the removal of stopping cues.
This is huge. This might be the most insidious one.
Break it down.
Think about the old technologies. If you read a book, eventually you get to the end of a chapter. That is a stopping cue.
Right, a natural pause.
It's a natural pause where your brain can say, okay, do I want to keep reading or should I go to sleep? A newspaper has a bottom edge. A TV show ends.
But Instagram has the infinite scroll.
Right. The infinite scroll was invented by a specific engineer, Asa Raskin, who, by the way, now regrets it deeply. He says so publicly.
Wow.
They deliberately removed the stopping cues. There is no bottom of the page. It just keeps loading. So that moment where you might make a conscious decision to stop, it never comes. You just keep scrolling until you physically pass out or walk into a pool.
It's like a bowl of soup that refills itself from the bottom while you're eating. You never know when you're done.
That is actually a real study. Brian Wansink did a study with bottomless soup bowls.
Yeah.
And people ate 73% more soup without realizing it. That is what we are doing with information. We are gorging ourselves because there's no signal to stop.
Price talks about this interview from 60 Minutes with a guy named Ramsey Brown. He is a founder of a company called Dopamine Labs. And can we just pause on that name? Dopamine Labs. It sounds like a villain's lair in a Batman movie.
It really does. It's remarkably on the nose. There's no subtlety there.
None. And his candor was shocking. He explained that they use algorithms to withhold likes.
This is the part that made my blood run cold. Because it's not just passive design, it's active manipulation in real time.
So let me get this straight. Let's say I post a photo of my dog, and 20 people like it immediately. You're saying the app doesn't tell me that right away.
Correct. The algorithm might sit on those likes, it holds them back, because its data predicts that you are about to close the app. You're getting bored. Your attention is waning. So right at that moment, boom, it releases the burst of likes. It pulls you back in.
That is manipulative on a level I didn't even realize was possible. It's not just showing me what happened. It's curating reality to maximize my addiction.
It's behavior modification. Brown explicitly said, you are guinea pigs in the box pushing the button. They are treating the user base like lab rats, tweaking the variables to see what keeps you in the box the longest.
And why? Why do they care if I stay in the box? Why does Facebook care if I stare at it for 10 more minutes?
Because of the business model. And this is the part we often forget because the apps are free.
Right.
But as the saying goes, if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product.
The attention economy.
Exactly. Advertisers are the customers. We are the inventory. Our attention is what is being sold. Price puts it beautifully. Engagement is just a fancy industry word for time spent not living your life.
Oof. Time spent not living your life. That hurts.
And it's not just about showing you ads. It's about surveillance. Facebook, Google, these are surveillance-based enterprises.
Yeah.
They track your online behavior, sure, but they also buy data from third parties to track your offline credit card purchases.
So they know what I bought at the grocery store.
They do. They build a profile of you that is terrifyingly accurate, all to keep you hooked so they can sell your attention to the highest bidder.
And the toll this takes isn't just lost time, it's mental health. Price discusses the correlation between heavy social media use and things like depression and loneliness.
The like button is a prime example of a feature that has warped our social interactions. It was originally meant to be a simple signal of connection, just a, hey, I saw this,
A little thumbs up.
a little thumbs up. But it became a tool for public judgment. It quantified social acceptance. Price jokes that it's like reliving middle school popularity contests, but forever and publicly and with data.
That's the worst part. In middle school, if you were unpopular, maybe just the cafeteria knew. Now the whole world can see exactly how many people didn't engage with your post. Yeah.
We are constantly posturing, waiting for validation, and feeling a crash when we don't get it.
And that constant social comparison is poison for mental health. It's a recipe for misery.
Okay, so that's the trap. It's designed to hook us using our own biology against us. But I want to move to the second part of our deep dive, the damage.
Right.
Because I feel like my attention span is shorter than it used to be.
Yeah.
I used to be able to sit and read a book for 3 hours. Now, if I read 2 pages, I'm reaching for my phone. Is that just me getting older, or is the phone actually changing my brain?
It is almost certainly the phone, and it's due to a concept called neuroplasticity.
Unpack that for us. What does that mean?
For a long time, scientists thought the adult brain was fixed. Like once you grew up, your brain structure was set in stone.
Right, like concrete.
But we now know that's not true. The brain is plastic. It changes based on what we do. It's constantly rewiring itself. The famous saying is, neurons that fire together, wire together.
So our habits literally sculpt our gray matter. Exactly. The famous example Price cites is the London cab drivers. This is fascinating. To drive a black cab in London, you have to pass a test called the knowledge.
Which is notoriously impossible, right? I've heard about this.
It's brutal. You have to memorize 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks. It takes years of study. When scientists scanned the brains of these drivers, they found that the posterior hippocampus,
Oh, what?
the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory, it was physically larger than in non-drivers.
So thinking about streets actually grew that part of their brain like a muscle.
Yes, but neuroplasticity is a double-edged sword. If you exercise a muscle, it gets stronger. If you stop using it, it atrophies. So ask yourself, what are we exercising when we use our phones?
We're exercising distraction, rapid switching,
Yeah.
skimming, getting tiny bits of information from 20 different places at once.
Precisely.
Yeah.
If we spend 4+ hours a day skimming, scrolling, and engaging in rapid-fire distraction, we are training our brains to be distracted. We are physically rewiring our neural pathways to be good at superficial processing and bad at deep, sustained focus.
Price uses the metaphor of water bugs. We are becoming like water bugs, just skittering across the surface of the water, never diving deep.
That's the death of attention. And a big culprit here is the myth of multitasking. We all think we are great multitaskers.
Guilty.
We think we can check email, listen to a podcast, and cook dinner at the same time.
I mean, I feel like I can do that. I feel very productive when I'm juggling.
You feel busy, but you aren't actually multitasking. Biologically, the brain cannot process 2 attention-demanding tasks simultaneously.
It can't.
No, what we are actually doing is task switching. We are flipping back and forth very quickly, and every time you switch from the email to the conversation back to the email, there's a switch cost.
Like a toll booth.
Yeah.
A mental toll booth.
Exactly. It drains glucose from the brain, it makes you tired, and research suggests it can take up to 25 minutes to regain deep focus after an interruption.
25 minutes. If I check my phone every 10 minutes, I am literally never in a state of deep focus. Ever.
Never. You are permanently in the shallows. And the Stanford study Price mentions is devastating for those of us who think we are good at this.
Okay, tell me about it.
They looked at heavy multitaskers, people who do it all the time.
Right.
They assumed these people would be better at filtering out irrelevant info or switching gears.
Because they practice it all day. They should be pros.
Right. But the results, they were worse at everything. They were terrible at ignoring distractions. They were bad at organizing information. They were even slower at switching tasks than the non-multitaskers.
So the thing they thought they were good at, they were actually the worst at.
Exactly. They had trained their brains to be unable to filter out irrelevance. Their brains were just leaking attention everywhere.
That explains so much about why I feel busy but unproductive. I'm running on a treadmill but not going anywhere.
It also impacts memory. This is really fascinating. We need to talk about how your brain actually learns. Price uses this concept of schemas.
Which is a fancy word for...
Think of it like a Velcro wall. If I throw a tennis ball at a smooth wall, it bounces off. That's information hitting a distracted brain. It doesn't stick.
Okay, I get that.
But if that wall is covered in Velcro loops, rich connections, past experiences, other books you've read, the ball sticks, that web of Velcro is a schema.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's look at the traffic cone example Price uses. If I put a traffic cone in front of a toddler, what do they see?
A bright orange pointy thing, maybe something to chew on.
Right. But if I put it in front of you...
I see construction, I see slow down. I might think about that time I hit one during my driving test. I think of pumpkins because it's orange. I think of the VLC media player icon.
Exactly. You have a traffic cone schema. You have physically altered your brain structure to connect orange cone with caution, police, safety, and delay.
And that happened because I spent time thinking about those things.
It happened because the information passed through the bottleneck of your working memory and was written into long-term storage. But here is the scary part. That transfer process, from working memory to long-term memory, it requires a calm chemical environment. And working memory is tiny. We can only hold 2 to 4 items at once.
So if I'm scrolling Twitter while trying to read a book...
You are flooding the bottleneck. You are shoving so much data into that tiny funnel that nothing makes it through to long-term memory. You aren't building the Velcro.
So that's why I can read an article online and 5 minutes later I can't remember what it was about.
Yes. You're not just forgetting what you read. We are losing the ability to connect ideas, to have insights, to think critically. We're just processing data streams without retaining wisdom.
That is terrifying. We're becoming data conduits instead of thinkers. And we are doing this largely because we are terrified of the alternative.
Which is?
We are terrified of being bored.
The fear of boredom is primal. Price cites a study that I find honestly hilarious in a dark way.
Oh, this sounds good.
Researchers at the University of Virginia put people in a room with nothing to do for 15 minutes. No phones, no books, just their own thoughts.
My personal nightmare.
But they gave them a button that would administer a painful electric shock.
Please tell me they didn't push it. Please.
They pushed it. 67% of men and 25% of women gave themselves at least one shock. One guy shocked himself 190 times.
No. 190 times. In 15 minutes.
That is insane. We would literally rather physical pain than boredom.
It shows how uncomfortable we are with just being. We use the phone to self-medicate against boredom and anxiety.
But the tragedy is that boredom is essential for creativity. It's in those quiet moments, in the shower, on a long drive, that the brain enters the default mode network.
Oh, okay.
That's where it connects disparate ideas and solves problems. If we fill every micro moment with scrolling, we are killing our creativity.
And we're also hurting our bodies. We can't ignore the physical side.
Blue light is the big one. It suppresses melatonin. Melatonin is the vampire hormone. It only comes out in the dark. If you look at your screen before bed, that blue light tells your brain it's high noon. You are giving yourself jet lag every single night.
And then there's cortisol.
The stress hormone. The anticipation of notifications creates a background hum of anxiety. It's a sneeze of cortisol every time the phone buzzes. We are living in a state of chronic, low-level fight or flight.
Okay, stop. Stop the ride. The phone is hacking our dopamine loops, rewiring our brains to be scattered and superficial, destroying our sleep and making us anxious. I feel like I need a drink. Or I need to break up.
We need to break up.
So let's pivot to the solution, because I don't want to leave people just feeling hopeless. Price says we can fix this, we can take back control. But how?
She lays out a 30-day plan. But she emphasizes that it starts with a philosophy of technology triage.
Triage, like in an emergency room.
Exactly. In an ER, you sort the patients who needs immediate help, who can wait, who is fine. We need to do that with our digital habits. It's not about going cold turkey.
So it's not all or nothing.
Not at all. It's about assessing what is helping me, what is hurting me.
And the foundation of this is mindfulness. Now, I know when people hear mindfulness, they think of incense and chanting.
Right.
But Price breaks it down to a very practical tool. Stop, breathe, be.
It's about creating a pause, just a split second between the urge to check the phone and the action of checking it.
Okay.
It's about noticing the craving, oh, I'm feeling bored, I want to check Instagram, and just riding that wave without acting on it. It's surfing the urge.
So let's walk through the actual plan. Week 1 is the setup. And step 1 is the one everyone hates.
Tracking.
You have to know the enemy.
You do. Install a tracking app. Screen time is built into iPhones now. Or digital well-being on Android. Look at the data.
Oh, I've seen mine. It's not pretty.
Most people estimate they spend maybe an hour or 2 on their phones. The reality is usually double that. Seeing that number 4 hours a day is a splash of cold water.
That is 28 hours a week. That is a part-time job.
It's a part-time job you aren't getting paid for. You're paying them with your attention.
Oh, okay. So step 2 helps you slow down. She calls it the WWW speed bump.
I love this one because it's simple. Before you unlock your phone, you have to ask yourself 3 questions, starting with W.
What are they?
First, what for? What is your specific purpose? Are you checking the weather? Are you looking up a recipe? Or are you just zombie checking?
Second, why now? Is this urgent? Or is it just because you're standing in an elevator and feel awkward?
And third, what else? This is the most powerful one. Could you do something else right now? Could you look out the window? Could you take a deep breath? Could you just exist?
It breaks the autopilot. It forces you to make a conscious choice. Now, step 3 is the one that made me sweat a little. Delete social media apps.
This is the radical step. But notice the nuance. She says delete the apps, not the accounts.
Wait, explain the difference. Because deleting the app feels like cutting off a limb.
The apps are designed to be slot machines. They're optimized for addiction. They have the notifications, the smooth scrolling, the instant access.
The grease on the slide.
The grease on the slide. If you delete the app and force yourself to check Facebook or Instagram on your mobile browser, Safari or Chrome, it's a terrible experience.
Oh, it's clunky. You have to log in every time. The interface is bad. It doesn't load right.
Exactly. That is friction.
Yeah.
You want to add friction. You stop the mindless looping. You can still check it if you really need to see what your cousin is up to, but you won't get sucked in for an hour of doom scrolling because the experience isn't slippery enough.
That is a brilliant hack. Make it annoying to use so you only use it when you actually care.
And step 4 is crucial. Return to real life. You're going to have all this free time now that you aren't scrolling. You need to fill it or you'll relapse.
Right, you need a substitute.
Identify what you actually love. Is it reading, swimming, staring at the ceiling? Make a list of offline activities so when the boredom hits, you have a menu of options that aren't the phone.
Okay, that's week 1. We've triaged. Now, week 2 is about changing habits, and this goes back to Pavlov.
Pavlov's dogs. We are the dogs.
We really are.
The notification ding is the bell. We salivate with anxiety when we hear it. The fix is simple but hard. Turn off all notifications.
All of them. Even email.
Especially email. Price suggests leaving phone calls on, and maybe text messages if you need them for logistics. But everything else, off. No banners, no badges, no sounds.
Well, what if my boss emails me? What if there's an emergency? That's the first thing people say.
VIP list. You can customize your settings so that your phone only dings if it's a specific person. Your boss, your spouse, your kid's school. Everything else can wait until you decide to check it.
So you're in charge.
You push the information, don't let the information push you.
Next up is tidying apps. She channels a little Marie Kondo here. Does it spark joy?
Sort of. She suggests categorizing your apps into 3 buckets. First, tools.
Okay.
These are things like Maps, Photos, Uber, your calendar. These help you live your life. They don't suck you in. You don't get addicted to Google Maps.
Or unless you really love traffic.
Right. These stay on the home screen. They are useful. Second category, junk food apps.
I think I know what these are.
These are tasty but unhealthy in large doses. News, shopping, social media, if you kept it. Bury these in folders. Don't leave them on the home screen. Make yourself dig for them. Swipe 3 screens over to find them.
Add friction again.
And the third category.
Slot machine apps. These are the games, the dating apps, the ones purely designed for dopamine hits. Candy Crush, Tinder,
We do those.
delete them. Or if you must play a game, download it, play it, and then delete it again. Make the barrier to entry high.
Another visual trick she mentions is grayscale mode.
I've tried this. It's really weird.
It turns your beautiful, vibrant retina display into a black and white newspaper. It makes the phone incredibly boring to look at. Those red notification badges don't pop. The colorful Instagram photos look flat.
It kills the dopamine trigger visually.
It turns the candy into broccoli.
Fine, let's talk about the physical environment because Price is strict about the bedroom.
The bedroom ban. This is non-negotiable for better sleep. The phone cannot be in the bedroom.
But it's my alarm clock. That's the #1 excuse.
Buy an alarm clock, they cost $10. If your phone is your alarm, it is the first thing you touch in the morning and the last thing you touch at night.
And you start your day in reactive mode.
Exactly. You start by looking at other people's lives. Charge it in the kitchen. Charge it in the living room. Just get it out of the sleeping sanctuary.
I tried this, and I have to say, the first few mornings are weird. You wake up and you just lay there with your thoughts.
That's you waking up. That's natural.
It is. It's actually peaceful. I didn't realize how much anxiety I had about checking my email before my feet even hit the floor.
That's the cortisol we talked about. You eliminated the cortisol sneeze first thing in the morning.
Now we have to talk about phubbing.
Phone snubbing.
Snubbing someone you are with to look at your phone. We all do it. We all hate when it's done to us.
It destroys intimacy. It tells the person in front of you, you are less interesting than this tweet. You are less important than this email.
It's so disrespectful, but we've normalized it.
Even having the phone on the table, face down, changes the conversation. Studies show that just the presence of a phone makes conversations shallower. We are afraid to get deep because we might get interrupted.
So what's the fix? Price suggests a new etiquette rule, permission.
The permission rule.
If you are with someone and you must check your phone, treat it like you are lighting a cigarette in a crowded room. Ask permission to use phone, or do you mind if I check this quickly?
It sounds awkward. If I did that at dinner, my friends would look at me like I was crazy.
It is awkward, and that's the point. It highlights how rude the action is. It breaks the trance. It makes you realize, oh, wait, maybe I don't need to check that right now.
It reintroduces shame, which is actually a useful social tool here.
And for groups, there's the restaurant game. Everyone stacks their phones in the middle of the table face down. First one to grab their phone pays the bill for everyone.
High stakes, but effective. It gamifies the resistance.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the breakup plan. We've cleaned up our habits. We've moved the charger to the kitchen. And this brings us to the trial separation.
The 24-hour digital Sabbath. Friday night to Saturday night. No phone, no screens.
It sounds terrifying to some people. Just the idea of it makes my palms sweat. What if I get lost? What if I need to look something up?
It does sound scary.
Yeah.
And Price warns about the digital hangover.
What's that?
The first few hours, you will feel phantom vibrations. You will reach for your pocket. You will feel anxious. You won't know what to do with your hands. You'll feel incredibly bored.
But
then, usually by Saturday morning, the fog clears, time slows down. You notice the light in the room. You taste your food. You actually listen to your family without half an ear on a podcast. It becomes restorative.
it resets your system.
It resets your baseline dopamine levels so you can actually enjoy normal, slow things again.
It's like fasting. You appreciate the food more when you break the fast.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy.
So we've gone through the science, the damage, the triage, the habits. We've broken up. But the goal isn't to never see the phone again. It's to have a new relationship.
Right. We want the phone to be a tool, not a master.
Yeah.
We want to be able to pick it up, do a task, and put it down without falling into the vortex. We want to be the ones holding the leash.
It all comes back to that central question Price asks. What do I want to pay attention to?
Because, as she says, your life is what you pay attention to. If you pay attention to Instagram feeds of strangers, that is your life. That is what you traded your limited time on Earth for.
Wow.
If you pay attention to your kids or your hobbies or nature, that is your life. You get to choose.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with a final thought from the book that really stuck with me. It's about Lin-Manuel Miranda, you know, the Hamilton genius.
Yes, the story of the stick. This is profound.
He talked about how, as a kid, he would be stuck in a car for 3 hours with nothing to do, no iPad, no movies, just him and a stick.
A stick.
And he would play with that stick for 3 hours. He'd make up worlds. He'd give it voices.
He was bored.
He was bored out of his mind. And he says that is where his imagination came from. He said, I have to raise my imagination game.
And this raises the most provocative question of all. If we never allow ourselves or our children to be bored, if we plug every gap of silence with a screen,
Hmm.
are we killing the next generation of genius ideas before they're even born?
Are we trading our capacity for deep thought for a cheap dopamine hit?
It's a question worth asking the next time you reach for your pocket in the elevator.
Hmm.
Are you killing a moment of creativity just to avoid a moment of silence?
So here's our challenge to you, listener. Try the 24-hour detox this weekend. Just one day. See if time slows down. See who you are when you aren't connected to the hive mind.
You might just like the person you meet.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.